Welcome to FlyTradr. In this demo, I'll show you how we can run a backtest on FlyTradr. To navigate, simply just go to Platform and click on Backtesting Lab. Once you do that, you'll be redirected to this Backtesting Lab page. Currently, you'll see this is empty. There are no outputs, no results. What we need to do is configure the backtest and then run a backtest to get the results on this page. So for that, just click on configure. Once done, you'll see a window like this. This is our backtesting lab configuration panel. As you can see, there are a lot of inputs here, but I'll tell you how easy this is to run a backtest. Now, on the top, you'll see there are two options. One is single run and the other is batch run. Single run is what we are going to discuss in this particular demo. Now, first section that you see in this panel is strategy selection. By default, it will pick the last created or modified strategy, which in our case is parabolic SAR trend, right? But let's say we want to test any other strategy. So you can just scroll here and find that, or you can just simply write either the strategy name or ID. So let me just maybe, yeah. So let's do the test on this one. Now the strategy has been loaded. You'll see the strategy indicators showing here. You'll also see these are the two indicators, right? Uh, you can always change these. You can make tweaks to these inputs. But I'll keep it as it is because I've created strategy keeping these inputs in mind. So second is the strategy kind of risk management side. Okay, it shows what risk management was selected at the time of strategy creation. So we don't have any position sizing. That means we'll be using the entire capital for this backtest. But we do have a stop loss and take profit levels, right? So I'll leave this as it is. Next section that you see is market selection. Obviously, you can run this backtest on cryptocurrency, equities, forex, commodities, etc. For this demo, I'll just choose cryptocurrency. And in terms of symbol as well, so by default, you'll see symbols related to the market type. So in our case, these are our all crypto symbols. So BTC USDT is selected. So maybe let's switch it to Ethereum, right? Next one you see is this interval or the time frame. So what time frame do you want to run this backtest on? Whenever you're automating a strategy or maybe taking a trade, you kind of check a particular interval, and that's where you basically take trades. So for the strategy as well, especially for automation, there has to be some interval. So you have all different intervals here. So this thing in kind of batch run is quite easy. You can select multiple intervals, but for single run, there has to be just one. So maybe let's pick this middle one, which is 1 hour. Okay. Next section we have is test window. This is very important, right? This actually helps you find out the performance in a particular duration or a date range, right? So you have a start date and end date input. So you can just click and select the start date, and same you can do for end date. Or you have these shortcuts at the bottom, right? So is it just 1 day, 1 week, so on and so forth, or it can be up to 5 years. But for custom kind of range, you can even select dates or kind of test window farther than just 5 years. So in Pro and Pro Plus kind of plans, we support lifetime of that symbol age that we have. If that symbol has been there in the market maybe for 10 years, so you can select that. So there is no issue with that. But yes, let's maybe keep it for 5 years. Okay. So I'm selecting because it's a 1 hour candle. So let's do it for 5 years. Now there are advanced settings because of the settings we have done above. So advanced settings are not mandatory, but some these settings will be assigned some default values. If you want, you can basically change these, right? But I'll leave it as it is, right? I don't really think there is any need of making changes to these settings. Um, and my configuration is done. Now, last thing for you to do is to just click on this run back test. So once I do that, you will see a progress bar will appear, will be back on the results page, and in a few seconds this strategy back test will be completed. So just wait till the time it gets completed. As you can see, it's already completed. Now, what you see on your screen is the output for this backtest. Okay. On the top, you'll see there's a Pro Access Only feature, which is basically it gives you diagnostics for your strategy. It tells you what kind of signals were there. It gives you some insights and all of that, right? If it's a good strategy or what were the weaknesses and strength of this strategy, and so on and so forth. So that is for Pro users only. But let's focus on something that is available to all the users, which is the strategy output. So as you can see, this strategy, we started with initial capital of $1,000, right? And our final capital after 5 years of trading is 3,537. Okay. And we made a gross profit of around 25 or 2600 dollars, which is a return of this, right? And it also shows us the cost because we had some input, sorry, trading cost already configured. Uh, so that is also being calculated, and your net profit comes out to be this, right? And here you'll see annualized returns of 28.83. So which is a very decent return, right? So around 30% every year, which means in almost 3 years you can basically expect double the returns, right? So this is pretty decent, right? Win rate that you see is only 37%, which tells us win rate is not the only way to find a good performing strategy. A strategy can have low win rate and still perform very well and outperform basically a market because there are other factors as well which are very important. For example, in this case, you'll see a profit factor of 1.22. So anything above 1 is a green. And you can always, by the way, click on these icons on each of these kind of stats, and it will tell you what exactly this is and how this is calculated. And same is for win rate, right? So you can basically learn about these. So I've kept a tool tips for all of these. So 523 trades in 5 years, which gives us an average of say 100 trades per year, which is decent for 1 hour candle. But yes, this I took a larger kind of time frame for this test. But yes, you can maybe check it on maybe uh, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 5 minutes. So it doesn't really matter. So you can test it on any interval. So all of these outputs are here. If you just scroll down, you will see some donut charts, win to lose distribution, right? Although we had more losing trades than winning trades, but still average win is much bigger than average loss that you can see here. It's almost double, right? A bit more than double. And average per trade we are making roughly $5, which is pretty decent, right? So then you'll see long to short distribution. So this was a long only, so you'll only see long. And on the right again is the outcome kind of breakdown. Again, since this was long only, so you'll only see long wins versus short wins, sorry, long losses, right? So now after this, the next is equity curve. This is where you can see your returns versus the drawdowns, right? Where you were losing and where you were winning. So this chart is plotted, okay? And if you scroll further down, you will see the trade history table. In this table, you'll basically get a history of all the trades, all 523 trades that we had in this particular run. So, history of all those trades is here. When that trade was taken, the entry time, the exit time, and was it a long or short quantity, and all of that will be given here, right? And what were the returns for that trade, and what exactly is the current status? Is that trade still open, or is that being closed, right? And you can basically check it here. And finally, you will find monthly returns. So you can see month-wise. Uh, Overall, it looks pretty green, but yes, you'll see there are months where we have lost, right? And you can basically check and find out what was maybe in those months why this strategy did not perform, right? You can do some investigation on that. Finally, everything is done. You can always and always, yeah, before I talk about export, you can share these results on your social media if you want, right? So you can simply either just download this as an image and you can post everything that you saw there is on this chart as well, right? Kind of converted into a social media friendly kind of image, and you can directly either just click on this and share, or you can download it and then upload it into your post. So you can use this, right? But I'll leave it for now. One thing I like to do with all the strategies that I create is when I run the back test or any test, I will download the report. So I will just save it. Okay. Once the report is saved, this will be saved as CSV. Okay. Now I will open this report. So I'll just right click on this and open this in Excel. So you can open this in Excel or any similar tool, right? And you'll find the entire output of your strategy, and you can basically do detailed analysis. You'll see the table here, right? You'll see trade by trade output for your strategy, and you can do further analysis, right? And you can find gaps. You can find maybe what might be the better profit levels, or maybe stop loss levels that you can maybe optimize, right? If it was a long or short both, then you can see which side is doing better, right? Which particular side I can maybe focus on more, right? And there are a lot of things that you can maybe analyze here and tune your strategy. So backtest is not about you just checking the output and kind of taking an insight from that and thinking that yes, this strategy works and this doesn't. It is about telling you how the overall potential of the strategy is, and what are the chances of this strategy giving me returns in reality. Because again, this is on past data. This doesn't guarantee that it will give you the same returns in next 5 years if you start today, right? It can be more or less. It only gives you an idea, right? And you'll have to actually do more research, spend some time on the output, right? And find the gaps and maybe address those gaps and kind of improve the strategy, and then finally you can deploy it. So yeah, that's it from this video. It was just to tell you how you can run the back test, but I thought of sharing some insights as well, how you can improve the output for any strategy using this back testing tool. So that's it. Thank you for watching.